What is going on? Big news today. I just purchased, signed the title for a 2015 Fiat 500 Abarth. Shout out to Mr. Captain Planet himself on Instagram. I'll put something on screen. He was the previous owner. Before that was another owner in Jersey, and from the looks of it, seems to be in amazing condition. Quick rundown, it's a 2015 Fiat 500 Abarth. Like a stripped down model, as the previous owner said. You know, doesn't have the leather interior, doesn't have the sunroof. I'm okay with that. Easier to clean inside, we save weight up here. I would like the sunroof, but it's mostly for when I do videos. You know, having the GoPro would have been nice. But I'll figure something out. I'll put some sort of roll cage, who knows, in the future I'll do something. But I'm super pumped. Today, as I'm recording this, it is a Saturday. I already have a DMV appointment on Monday. I'm going to show you some photos and videos that I really quickly took. Right now, we're actually going to Donnie over at New Jersey Speed Shop. This box right here, which might be in view from K-Power, has some parts that we've been waiting on to do the K24 swap in the 124 Spider. I know that's been on hold for a bit. It's just getting the parts took forever. You know, some guy went MIA for me for months, and I finally got some of the parts. I got another box in the trunk. I got a box here. Didn't even open them yet, and we still need a few more parts. With that said, the RSX is officially for sale. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. I love the RSX. I wanted to turbo it, but then I bought the 124 Spider and started doing the K-swap. So the RSX was no more turbo. It was just, you know, kind of a daily, but not, because I didn't drive the damn thing. I would take it out 2 to 3 times a month, stretch your legs, do a couple videos, and that's it. You know, it's not the most daily drivable car. I didn't buy it as a daily driver. It's in amazing condition. There's a cover on it 24/7. This 500 Abarth, man, I don't know. You know, the haters are gonna hate, but there is something extremely enjoyable and fun and engaging in these lightweight cars that have what I would say just enough power. This car upgraded the power levels. That car, I'm gonna go through it in a second. The mods that I can remember off the top of my head. I have a little list here on my phone, so when we're stopped, maybe I could read off of it. But like I said, the haters are gonna hate. But honestly, I am someone who had an Evo 9 that had a built engine on methanol, an Evo 10 putting 473 to the wheels. I know that's no insane like 800,000 wheel. It wasn't meant to be that, but 473 to the wheels with a drop-in larger turbo, methanol, 31 pounds of boost, and over 400 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. It was a street monster. It's like the perfect level. Then I had an E92 M3 with a supercharger that, although I didn't dyno it with the tuned and supercharger I had from ESS Tuning, should have been between 550 to 600 horsepower, probably close to 500 to the wheels. So a little pull. But I actually have the air on today because it is hot today. You know, this weather's been crazy. We're dropping into the 30s at night, but still hitting 70s during the day. So yeah, the RSX is an amazing car. It's a true driver enthusiast car, but I wanted a car that could function as a daily driver and still be fun. The RSX was, it was more of fun. I wouldn't want to daily it. It's like a collector's car at this point. I literally barely drove it and kept it under a cover at all times. The 500, it's got the same engine as the 124, as you know, most of you guys probably know. It's an awesome engine and it's a crappy engine. It's small, it's a 1.4 liter, but the car I bought has all supporting mods. It's got EC intercooler, ATM intake, it's Euro compulsion tuned on, I don't know what it is, I think phase 2. It's got all the mods that it needs. Wastegate actuator, blow valve, it has turbo smart instead of forge. I went forge with my 124. It's got the NGK upgraded plugs. It's got the 4C Alfa Romeo coils, turbo blanket, ATP downpipe, 3-inch downpipe, new speed mid pipe that he installed a resonator on, and on it right now is the new speed muffled axle back, but he also gave me the non-muffled axle back, which I'm probably going to throw back on, because with the vibrant, I think it's a vibrant 12-inch resonator that he put in the middle, in the mid pipe, with that, it is on the very quiet side with the muffler system. You got a resonator and a big fat muffler in the rear, so not only is that going to save weight by taking it off and going to the non-muffler, but you're really going to open her up a little bit. Maybe I'll go to a high flow catted downpipe. I believe he's got a cowless downpipe right now. I'm actually going to talk to Donnie about that. Previous owner said that Donnie has got someone. He's selling one. Or maybe him, I don't remember. But I'm super pumped. The car has a lot of suspension modifications as well, which is awesome, although there's a couple more things that I noticed from my initial test drive that I want to do. I drove Mikey Turbo's car for the first time like a week and a half ago. It's your fault that I'm buying this. I drove your damn car, and I enjoyed it. Should I stop? Yeah, I'll stop. This is good. I'll stop here at the light, and then I could review a little bit more. It's got the Torque Motorsports multi-air springs. You know, as a lot of you guys know, I'm with EC. It's nothing against Torque. I just, you know, John more or less started with me back in the day. So they were installed by Donnie. I think a lot of folks who have issues with the Torque multi-air springs, it comes to installation error. So I'll take it for what it's worth. It's got that. It's got an AAD short shifter. It's not as crisp, precise, and short as the CAE, like in Mikey Turbo's car, which I put the video, if I didn't already, I believe 2 seconds ago or now. That's insanely short. It feels awesome, but it sits up here. It's a little, you gotta get used to that. This one sits more in a comfortable area of driving, not race style right there. Feels great though. It's got a Vatrix boost gauge, which we actually have on our site. We sell it through Euro Compulsion. I went with the P3 gauge in this car, which I absolutely love. And who knows, maybe I'll put the P3 gauge in the 500. It would have to be custom, but I wouldn't mind trying it out. Oh, it's got the double DIN Kenwood unit that is plugged into the OBD2 port, talking about P3 and OBD2 port, where it can pull in your exhaust gas temps, intake temps, all these different things. So if I were to get a P3 gauge, it would probably be the non-OBD2 port, and I would modify it to fit somewhere in the vehicle and then just read boost with that. I like that. Right now he's got the Vatrix, which I love checking my peak boost. What did I just call it? Peak? I don't know. Peak boost recall, which right now I just tapped this at 27.2. The Vatrix has it, but it's like in this weird housing. I'll try to overlay videos as I'm talking if I remember to take them. It's in this weird housing and I can't hit the peak recall button. I'm assuming that's what one of those buttons are. I gotta figure that out. He also has it like where it beeps and turns red that you're over boosting at like 20 pounds and it's tuned for like 25. So literally it's beeping 24/7. I gotta figure that out. Yeah, it's got the short shifter. It has a new knob. It has AAD catch can, brake, a lot of parts that are new in box, like a brake lines by someone. Suspension. Let's touch base on suspension real quick. KW variant 3 coilovers, Madness rear torsion bar, white line front sway bar end links, Madness front strut bar, power flex torque bushings. And one of the mods that I heard is one of the most important mods that you can notice the feeling in this vehicle and the 500s is the Elgato chassis bracing, or vertical braces is how he worded it, but I believe that's what it is. Those are new in box, they're not installed yet. I gotta pick them up. He has tons of stuff that I have to pick up from his place. So that I'm excited about, because during the initial drive before I purchased it, you know, I drove around a little bit. It felt awesome, it pulled strong, but the steering was extremely vague. And even in third gear, it wasn't torque steer where it's like literally yanking you, because it's still a stock turbo. It's not like insane power. But you'd hit the throttle and it would just wander a little bit. It had this like wandering feeling, reminiscence of like what my RSX had before I upgraded some parts, and it still kind of has it. I think it's just the nature of front wheel drive, and I haven't owned a front wheel drive car in so long. It's been all or rear wheel drive besides the RSX, which started that. But I will say Mikey Turbo's car, when I drove it, felt a lot more stable, so I know it's capable of it. And he had those Elgato bracing, so I'm excited to get those on. What else we got over here? It's ceramic coated by the previous owner. If I didn't say it already, this guy only owned it for like 3 months. He's got a built STI, which is going to be putting down some crazy power. I think he's shooting for like 600 wheel. That's some decent power with a freaking STI. Again, check him out on Instagram. His engine blew, he built it, he bought the 500, drove it for 3 months, now his car's back. So he barely drove it. The previous owner ceramic coated it within the past year, from what I've been told. The whole front end, bumper, hood, fenders, mirror caps, all PPF coated. The rear is PPF coated to a degree, I forget exactly, but you can see where they did it. It's like a certain amount. It's got some custom One thing that I love my duckbill spoilers. I have it on the 124, so it's got a custom, well, not custom, it's got a carbon fiber duckbill spoiler. It's like an extension off of the factory duckbill. I think it looks beautiful. Might do some changes in the future. One thing, call me crazy, but I bought the car today. Of course, no one knows if the deal would have went through today. I could have seen it and I wanted it or something, who knows. But last night, I already bought the Euro spec. I think they're called Gen 4. I'm still learning about the 500s at this point. Euro spec taillights. I personally love those. They're the ones where you got the centerpiece that you could do whatever. Most of the time it's color painted to match the car, and it's got the red trim around it. I like those better than the US spec ones. Although apparently him or the previous owner upgraded to a darker set in the rear. So it actually looks better than I thought it would. So I don't know if I'm gonna do it right away. But that's another little upgrade. The front grille or front end has been completely worked up a little bit. Where the ATM intake sits on the bottom, it gets fresh air from like a side vent, but then to protect it from rain, he closed off the front, which he actually removed the DRLs, which I believe has the blinker in there. I don't remember 100%, but basically it's got the DRL removed and the left side is blocked off for rain protection, but on the bottom it's open to get air fed in through it. And then the grille is completely open, again, to feed more air under the hood to keep things a little bit cool, because I know this, I'm sure a lot of other folks know this, the 500 engine compartments get extremely hot. They are super, super damn tight. It gets really hot in there. What else we got? We're about to come to a stop and look at my listing, and I'm literally just spitballing, trying to remember and talk as I'm driving. I literally just got the car, drove it, packed this car, and now heading over to Donnie's. So, I was talking about the front end. Yeah, the DRL delete. Black housing headlights. I love those compared to the more pure whitish looking ones. Stubby antenna, vinyl wrap on the back with the trunk release, or whatever you call. Rally armor mud flaps. It actually looks pretty sweet. He said carbon fiber battery cover. He also has carbon fiber eyelids, but they're fake carbon. They're wrapped or carbon look-alike. So I'm not too fond of those, to be honest. I'm someone that it's either, if you're gonna do carbon, I would have spent the money and went full-blown carbon, or if I don't want to do that, I would just would have went with something else, maybe like a matte black or something else. But I'm not the biggest fan of using a wrap to pretend it's carbon. I don't know, maybe in the future that might change, because I do want to get some carbon parts, and if it's too expensive, who knows. Anyway, it's got that. It's got a steering wheel extension or spacer or something, which is like very odd. I think it's more for tall people. I'm not tall nor short. I'm like 5'10". I guess that's like average. It feels fine when I'm driving it, but then the left and right stocks are like super pushed back. So he has an extension on the left one. Kind of cool with the extension because it feels like completely stock. But yeah, that's crazy. Like, I'm not used to that, but I don't really notice it because it doesn't really feel that different. Some other little bits and pieces. Euro compulsion handheld. He has a torque tune with a handheld, but I'm most likely not going to go forward with the torque tune. So in the future, I might have a handheld for sale, possibly. What else we got? Yeah, the maintenance record was like immaculate. Regular oil changes at 54,000. It's got 54.5, 500 miles ago. Spark plugs, multi-air filter was all done 500 miles ago. Cabin air filter was done 10,000 miles ago. Transmission fluid was done 10,000 miles ago. New AOS and what is it? Delete O-ring, PCV, whatever it is. I talked to Donnie about that. That was all done like 500 miles ago. And then he's got a bunch of OEM parts that he's including as well. Shocks, struts, catback, downpipe, intake with the BMS filter, the stock boost gate, shift knob, car cover. I got like 6 bins I gotta go pick up. The one downside, which it's not the biggest deal, because if you guys know me, I love modifying my cars and pushing for power, so I'm not too worried about it. Donnie was saying when he recently did a bunch of work on it, one of the turbo fins is slightly bent, and in due time that should get replaced. I'm okay with it because I'm probably gonna go big turbo, and I might actually mean big turbo this time when I say big turbo. I know big turbo in the Fiat Abarth community usually refers to a stuffed turbo, like I have in my 124, which is great and all. It's a great turbo. It feels awesome. It holds much more boost to redline. It pulls much stronger to redline. But I'm pretty confident there's still a fall off that I would prefer not to have. City driving, daily daily driving, you cannot beat a stuffed turbo for the ease of installation, the power you can get, and the readily available tuners that have tunes and will work with you on stuffed turbos, drop-in turbos, whatever you want to call them. They're basically just internally reworked stock turbos. They're great, but it's kind of like, do I want to spend that same money again on the same turbo I have in this one in the 500? I'm really leaning towards a larger turbo, which is going to need a little bit more modification, but that's where Donnie at New Jersey Speed Shop comes in. The money that I save by getting a turbo not meant for the car, because the drop-ins, honestly, they cost more money. So if I can go ahead and get a turbo, and then the money that I saved, toss it to Donnie and be like, let's get this going. I've always been a fan of the G25 550. I talked about it, probably not in videos, but to a lot of local and other guys online, car folks that have been wanting to do that to this car in the future. It's bumpy. Hopefully the stabilization is doing good. These new 275s in the rear, you feel everything, like the road, everything. So basically, I would probably want to build this engine to get the full potential out of it. But the Garrett GTX 2860R Gen 2, which shout out to Jesse, JTS Motorsports on Instagram. I was chatting with him recently. I'll put his Instagram up here. He recently, in the past year, installed it and says it's an amazing turbo for the 500. He put it on his 500. Unfortunately, I don't think he got it tuned yet. He's been busy. He doesn't have a lot of content on it, but he has one old video from a year ago that's talking about it that I've been watching the past few days, taking notes on it. So ideally, if I can get a GTX 2860R, legit Garrett, not like a knockoff 2860. So the Garrett one is going to be more expensive, but I think it's going to maximize the efficiency, the power, the spool. I don't know. Some of the other ones might not be as good. I don't know. I've never tested the other ones, but I want to go with the Garrett. Because the goal is I want to try something, dial in a tune with it. Honestly, hopefully work with your compulsion. Please, you guys, work with me. Let's dial in a tune. Because the goal is at the end is if it could produce decent power, even on stock internals. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Screw peak power. If your peak power is 225 in the mid-range, but you're falling off to 190 at redline, I'd rather have 220 at redline and not care about the 225 in the mid-range. I want power. I'll take the sacrifice in 500, 700 RPM spool loss down low, knowing that the power will build consistently to redline. Not right now where you're making a nice punchy mid-range. So we don't know, a lot of people are too focused on like 250, 300 horsepower. It's like, honestly, right now, most folks with a stock turbo will be more than happy with 225 to redline, because they're probably around 150 to 170 to redline. I don't know, I might be completely wrong. I just know the power falls off a lot at redline. And a lot of folks are talking peak numbers, like, oh yeah, I'm hitting like 210 or something in the mid-range. But it's that fall off that people don't put enough emphasis on. So if I can, put this together and it functions properly, and I can get a tune dialed in for it, and your propulsion's willing to dial in the tune, and New Jersey Speed Shop's willing to work with me to really get this to work properly, because there's gonna be some slight modifications that need to be done to get it to function. But JTS over there and us over here, like, New Jersey Speed Shop is a shop. JTS works on cars. Like, I want to be able to offer it to someone so they don't need to weld and move their downpipe, a little bit to the side because you have an adapter flange and it's not fitting properly. If we can supply that for folks and prove that the turbo is efficient, makes good power on pump gas with just bolt-ons, and has the potential to make even more on, a built engine, then it's the best of both worlds. Right now, I'm not chasing crazy power, but if I can put the GTX 2860 and make over 200, a decent like 225 or something, to redline, I think that's going to be freaking awesome. So that's kind of the plan that I have for the 500. Although I got to be smart about it because I've been dumping a lot of money on this car and other cars. And yeah, right now, what else? Anything else I missed? I think that's it. We're gonna be at Donnie's in a bit. This was just a video talking about the car. Hopefully I would have had videos and photos to overlay, because I don't even have much right now. I'll probably take it and do that. But if you're excited and you want to see some upgraded parts, some upgrades to the Fiat 500 Abarth, stay tuned. If you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel. If you are, thank you. Check out drivendistrict.com for some car parts, performance. I always want to say parts and performance merch. Performance parts, merch, and all different things. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this 500. I'm excited to get this going. Like I said, a newfound love for these little small go-kart-like cars. Besides the power and the turbo, I want to dial in the steering and the not the suspension, but the steering feel. I want to get that tighter. This thing just feels so good. When you turn, it just feels tighter and more precise. With a 500, it feels very loose, it feels vague, and as you're giving it more throttle, it increases that vagueness in the steering, which I'm not a fan of. So we're about to pull up to Donnie's. We got some other 500s there, I think. Maybe I'll overlay some stuff. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little video intro of me just talking nonstop about my new car. And hopefully next week we'll have some in-car driving. Catch you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your day.